What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 29 of Procedurally Generated, the show about the random history of video games. You guys didn't see it coming. They make fun of me when I do a countdown. Like,
you're just
say
gonna
when
make
I'm gonna
editing
start.
hard on me.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. That's okay. That's all right. I mean, for me, not for you. I'm sorry. But listen, we've started now. There's no going back. We can't do this over again. My name's Chris. I'm here with John.
Hi. Hello.
And I'm here with Courtney.
Hi. I just have to say, like, normally you do the countdown and I get my, like, fits of laughter out the first time you do the countdown, and then you have to do a second one. But now that you just, like, boom, started, there's gonna be problems.
The energy's there.
Listen, this is a new show.
It's bundled in you.
This is a new day.
Show.
All right, this is... We don't do things the way we used to around here. Not anymore.
No, it's all new.
Yeah. You guys are seeing it live. What's going on? We got a big show.
I'm starting it there. I'm starting it from that. What's going on?
Oh, it's gonna be weird now. There's just the energy's gone. Everybody's gonna shut it off as soon as it starts. Oh man, how was our weeks? How is things? What have you guys been playing? What have you been spending your time on?
I've been spending my time on a little game called Metroid Dread, which is the newest of the Samus. I believe that's how you pronounce her name.
Seamus. It's Irish.
Oh, I'm sorry, Seamus Arin.
Yep.
It's the final Metroid, in that illustrious Metroid saga. That's good. It's a good game. That's it. I don't know. Have you played it yet, Chris?
I haven't. And so, like, I'm in this weird space where I really like most of the Metroidvania games that I've been playing, but I don't care for Metroid, never have.
Oh,
and I really haven't played many Castlevanias. So I don't know how this happened.
So, all right, maybe I could put this into perspective. So, Metroid Dread is probably the first Metroidvania in a while that I've actually finished.
Okay.
And I like blitzed through it in like 2 days. But the way that game just like pushes you through the environments, like it still has like a maze like structure that you're going through, and like you need abilities to get into certain spots and all of that. But the way that it just like whisks you through everything so smoothly and effortlessly, it just feels so good.
I feel like I have to play it because we'll talk about a Metroidvania that I literally just finished up last week. Like I have this newfound passion for these games, but I've not really gotten into the ones that kind of set the precedent in the beginning. So
right. And this is definitely different from other Metroidvanias that I've played recently. So after I was done with Metroid Dread, I'm like, well, I kind of have this itch still, and I kind of want to start playing more stuff for Game of the Year considerations that are coming up very quickly. Very, very quickly. So I'm like, oh, Axiom Verge 2 came out a couple of months ago. I don't really remember a lot of people talking about it. I know a lot of people like the first one. I'm going to try that. But my mind decides that I need to play through the first one first.
Had you ever played the first one prior?
I played maybe 20 minutes of the first one. I'm like, okay. I get it. There's like hacking stuff. Cool. Like you're modifying the enemies and the environment and stuff. I get it. That's fine. And so I spent all last weekend playing through the first Axiom Verge, which I really liked, but it's still like, it very slowly takes you through the environments, and you need to really like backtrack to every little piece of that map to find out where you're supposed to go next, or like what ability unlocked something randomly across the entire map.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a pain in the ass to like get through. Like it's still good. Like the bosses suck. I think they're super easy to get through. And coming from Metroid Dread, where it's the bosses are pretty intense, and like you need like the whole like hardcore like pattern recognition like, oh, this boss's moveset changes from this to this as like you do more damage to them. I'm probably going to die on each boss like 4 or 5 times before I really get it. A lot of people have complained about the difficulty of those bosses. I find that if you pay attention to like what they're doing, you're pretty good. But I understand people's complaints about it being too hard. But coming off of that and going into Axiom Verge, where you could just like pick a spot and just like snipe parts of a boss for like 2 minutes, and then they're dead, and then, like that's the boss for like every boss, or like that's the strategy for every boss. It gets old a little bit quick. But I really like the story in that game. It's a really cool little tale about this guy being transported to another world and him having to figure out like his place in whatever this like crazy future is that he's found himself in. And then when you go to the second one, there's like pieces of that story there, but it's mostly not connected as far as I can tell. But also going from that first game to the second game, they play super different. So like you don't have the same kind of weapons. Like all of your hacking stuff is completely different. The second game's a lot slower. So I kind of dropped the second game after a couple hours.
Okay.
It was just like it was a completely different pace from a Metroid Dread, and then going through Axiom Verge 1, and then going into 2, where I assumed that it was going to carry over a lot of the same ideas from 1. I'm like, okay, I can roll into this, do the whole like the whole ability amnesia thing, and just like start fresh with a similar move set, but it's completely different. And it really like ground to a halt. So
Axiom Verge 1 and 2, those are both made by a single person?
Yeah. By Tom Hop.
Okay.
I believe
that
is.
Like that
or
is
Tom Hap.
to me.
Tom Hap.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. But, yes, they're super impressive, and it's like I was trying to think back. I'm like, I don't like why did people like get so behind the first Axiom Verge? And I think it is mostly because it was made by one dude. A lot of the weapons in there aren't like super impressive. The environments aren't super impressive. Like I said, the bosses are pretty boring. There's cool ideas in there, but it takes so long to actually discover some of that stuff that I don't know why it was like so well regarded back in 2015, 2016, I think, when it came out originally. Mm-hmm. Besides the fact that it was made by one person, which is always a super impressive task, I guess, or super impressive achievement. So I went on a little bit of a Metroidvania stint in the last week and a half since we last recorded, but Metroid Dread definitely climbed up my game of the year list pretty quick. Yeah. So
I think I need to. I think
you should play it. And I think I have a cartridge version here that you might be able to borrow.
Interesting.
And play that yourself. But yeah, that game goes places. It's really fun. Cool weapons, cool abilities. Kind of twists some of the Metroid, the expectations that you'd have from a Metroid game on its head a bit. And like I said, like traveling through the world is super smooth and makes sense, and it guides you really well without like only having doors that you can't go through and like you having to like bump up against those restrictions. It just kind of, I don't know if it's just things in the environment or like the way that enemies are placed, or I don't know what it is exactly, but I kind of found the right path most of the time just exploring on my own.
Okay.
Without like, oh, like this door needs missiles, or this door has a different thing on it, or this door has this, or this thing's locked and I have no idea what it is. So, yeah, cool. Metroid Dread is incredible. I really like that game.
A week of Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
Anything else? Did you review Metroid Dread?
No, I didn't. That was a Ben Reeves joint. I think he gave it a 9.
That's a
9 out of 10.
Pretty solid score.
And even like when I was talking to him before he wrote his review, he was like, "Yeah, like have some like pain points with it, and there's some things that I need to like think about for a bit. And it seems like he came out pretty positive on the opposite end of that. So yeah, you should definitely play that. But on my queue right now is Darkest Dungeon 2, which the early access came out today for it.
Sounds right. I saw some people streaming it.
Yeah. And then, I played a little bit of Riders Republic, which is like the open world Ubisoft skiing, snowboarding, or I don't know if snowboarding's in it. Skiing, downhill biking, and Jetpack Simulator.
Right. The ever-present Jetpack.
Yeah. The Jetpack is really fun. Like at a glance, I feel like that's Ubisoft's best use of an open world. Just because you're not just walking on the ground and going from like tower to tower and uncovering parts of the map. You're actually like cruising down the hill in whatever extreme sport that you want, or like flying through the air over everything and through like gates and goals and whatnot. I think it's just a cool way to build an open world, build a mountain. They kind of did it in like SSX 3 and Amped 3, I think. It's always the third one of these games that does like the open world thing. But yeah, that seems all right. The writing is really bad. It's awful. It's like watching a Ubisoft press conference where you're just kind of cringing the whole time. There's been a lot of discussions this week at GI from the demo. It's just like, oh, this is not good for like any of the script, or like some of the music choices are a little bit off, but like just put it on streamer mode, put on your own music, and just have fun riding some bikes, skiing down some hills. It could be just a really good chill game for that.
There you go.
Yeah. But other than that, it's been writing about Saints Row again and writing about some DC games, and that's it. So magazine work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Courtney.
Yeah.
You still all up in that new world?
I am still all up in that new world.
Hell yeah.
I did get my level 60. I am hopefully under geared to do anything fantastic.
Have you run dungeons?
I have done some dungeons. Like the dungeons I did were the ones kind of required in the main quest line. They were not voluntary things that I sought out to just do over and over.
Sure.
I spent time a lot by myself in this game, just wandering around in the woods and picking the flowers and chopping the trees.
That's what I do.
So yeah. Now instead of focusing on my gear, I'm instead choosing to focus on maxing out all of my gathering types of skills.
Yeah, make those numbers go up.
Yeah.
Max them out. What is the max for those? Is it like 300 or?
I think it's 200.
200, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think or do you now hope?
Well, now I hope. Now that you're saying that, I've been in my head. It's been 200 this whole time, so I'm getting very close in several of them. So if that all of a sudden changes to be 300, I think I'm going to be a little sad.
My goal is to max these out,
at
but
200.
We may put that on hold.
It just keeps going.
Well, it wouldn't be the end of the world, I guess.
Have you had time for anything else? Have you made time for anything else? Do you want to make time for anything else?
I would love to make time for something else. If you could take away my day job and give me more game time, I mean, I'm all for it.
Yeah. I mean, that's two very little words can definitely put you in that position.
Shove it.
It's true.
Those are two different words, but the effect would be the same.
Yeah. I was thinking two nicer words, but I mean,
right? Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty please.
Listen, we don't want to burn bridges. We don't want to burn bridges, John. All right.
Yeah, John.
You sure? Are you sure? Wow. Let's burn some bridges.
I'm getting freaked out now.
Good. Excellent.
All right. Well, I have been playing some stuff. I mentioned a Metroidvania that I've been playing. We finished it up last week. It's not Metroid. It's called Time Spinner.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that last week.
Yeah. So I'd started it and played through it. I think about 3 days. Pretty quick and easy. I liked it a lot. It controlled really well. The Metroidvania elements were solid. Had a little trouble sometimes trying to figure out exactly what my next goal was. I would drive people insane who are completionists because all 3 of my maps ended at 99%.
Oh no!
Which means there's
too close.
There's like 1 or 2 fake walls that I never found.
But then you have to go through everything again and be
that's the thing. It's like,
is this it?
Like I'm not doing it.
I'd have to go back. I would go back. I couldn't handle that.
You're a good man for just like letting it go. Just like, all right, this is it.
Well, I mean, I've done that. What it was, I did it with, there was another game that I played where I finished it up and it was at 97.5%. And I was like, good enough.
Yeah, that's it. That's fine.
Listen, I got 100% for Death's Door on stream, so that's...
Did you see the ending? That's all that matters. Yeah, Death's Door is like the only 100%able game.
Yeah, I think we shared our screenshots at like almost the exact same time. In the Discord, but
that game's really good. Also, pretty high up on my game of the year list.
Mine too. But I will say, even though I didn't finish up the maps, I did run through all 4. I think there's 4 endings. So I beat the main boss, and then you presented different situations that affect. It's about time travel and things like that. So different ways that you can affect the outcome. And I did go back and I played through all those, and it was one of them. I'm super glad I did because it actually unlocked an entirely new area that I also then 99%ed.
Oh my god!
I know,
dirty, Chris.
It is what it is. But I had a ton of fun with that game. It was a game that released, I think, in 2017 or 2018. I don't know for sure, but it was a Kickstarter.
I want to say it was 2018 or something. It wasn't too long ago.
No, it wasn't. But it's got beautiful pixel art. It plays really well, controls well. Interesting story. I would recommend Time Spinner if you're into Metroidvanias.
Did you ever play Hollow Knight?
I did. I don't like Hollow Knight.
Okay, got it. I feel like that's very polarizing.
Yeah, you know what I think the biggest hang up I have with Hollow Knight is?
What?
I think it's the art.
Is it too flashy?
It is kind
like
of
flash art.
Yeah, because but I've also seen 1,000 people play it. I've seen people do the
god fights and whatnot.
Yeah, 50 boss fights in a row and stuff, and like just pull their hair out, and they look like they're having fun or whatever fun is. I'm not interested in. I did play it for a little bit because I wanted to understand. Kate,
I only played for like 2 hours or something, and it seems okay.
Yeah, I mean, Kate played it. She's gotten pretty far into it. She keeps saying, "I got to get back to it." I'm like, you don't have to. But yeah, no, Hollow Knight for some reason it just hasn't. I think it's the art because the game plays well. It's a Metroidvania, but that's just one that didn't. It never stuck with me. So.
Would you rather go back and try Hollow Knight again, or finish off the 0.1% or whatever it is that you need?
I would easily rather go finish off the 0.1%. I would just look up a guide. Where's the wall I'm missing? Just knock that bad boy down, get my extra HP, and call it good.
Courtney, do you have any Metroidvanias that you kind of gravitate towards at all?
I don't think I do.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I do.
I think we've talked in the past about you're not much of a side scroller.
No.
Person, right?
No,
because you don't play with controller.
I don't play with controller, and I am generally jumping challenged.
Oh right, yeah.
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 So
don't make me jump, please.
MMOs, shooters, those are your main ones, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I was just wondering. We haven't talked about Metroidvanias before, so.
So the other games that I've been playing, I picked up and started about 20 hours in now on stream. Tales of Arise. Liking that game quite a bit.
Good.
Yes, yeah. I've always had a weird hang up. Not a weird hang up. I don't like the combat in most Tales games.
It's very different in this, I feel.
I've always been really interested in those games, but the combat has always been a turnoff. This one is the first time where I felt like I'm in control of what's happening on the battlefield. My team members and stuff, they do their own thing, and that's fine. But for the most part, I know what I'm doing when I want to do it. I never felt that in other Tales games. This game looks amazing. They switched up the art style. It's an interesting story so far. Like I said, we're about 20 hours in, so we're probably not quite halfway done yet. But I really like kind of what's being shown. So I'm going to keep pushing forward with that. This morning we beat a game that came to Game Pass last week called Echo Generation. I have nothing but amazing things to say about this game. I have a couple. That's not true. I have some. I have a couple of qualms with it, but for the most part, like this is how I've been comparing it. This is how I've been telling people about this game. This game is Stranger Things meets Earthbound. Okay, that's step one. I just beat Earthbound last week, right? So that timing is also awesome. Now we're gonna sprinkle in a little advent, like the gameplay as it relates to exploration and adventure. We're gonna sprinkle in some South Park. Okay. Not the humor, but like the actual like aesthetic of kind of looking at the side view of like as you're walking through the neighborhood.
Sure.
And then we're gonna add some combat. We're gonna sprinkle in a little Super Mario RPG, and we're gonna throw in a little Undertale.
So Earthbound.
This is sounding really good right now, but how many cutscenes are going to take me away from the action?
Very few. Very few.
I could play this game.
They're quick. They're concise. They're pretty funny. This game also uses a voxel art, so it's very blocky, which I don't really like.
Does he use the voxels to any effect? Like, do things explode into the voxels?
No,
is there like destructive
not
things?
that I can.
That's my favorite use of voxels. Like it's very like physical pixels that can be like blown off of things.
No, they do some really good things with the environments. It's super bright, super colorful, just really fun to look at, and it's a good Halloween game. Actually, it's got some spoopiness to it.
Is it up there with like Costume Quest for a good Halloween RPG?
It's probably not like a full blown like trick or treat simulator.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I just mean like in tone and.
I mean, it's the same way Stranger Things is a good show to watch around Halloween. Honestly, I think they did capture the essence of that pretty good. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. I liked it a lot. It was a very good time. It's on Game Pass. Do yourself a favor and check it out.
Courtney's writing it down.
I did. Right. I totally wrote it down.
Generation.
Yes.
Downloading it now.
And then there's one more thing I was going to say about it. I don't remember what it was. But
I mean, since I have Game Pass and didn't realize it, I might as well start getting games on it.
Start getting that money.
Money's worth. I will say too, again, Halloween-y game. It's not overly scary. There's some, but it's got kind of that vibe. I will say though, genuinely, probably the best jump scare for a game that I've played this year. It's up there. I also
played some other jump scare
games. I've played Visage.
I
played the Medium, and there were some. Okay, you're right. It doesn't beat anything in Visage, but from a game that looks like this, it scared the bejesus out of me when it happened. So yeah, look forward to that. And then today we started because we finished Echo Generation. We had time to start a new game, and we started a new old game from the Xbox 360. A game that is made by Sakaguchi. The audio or the soundtrack. John, I'm going to see. Did you get a chance to see what I was playing?
I did. Yeah.
You did.
Oh, I was waiting. I was waiting for John to guess based on your clues.
No. Let me get. Hold on, Sakaguchi.
I was gonna quiz you.
Xbox 360.
That's right. The soundtrack done by Uematsu.
Is a
the characters done by Toriyama. No, we're talking about Blue Dragon. I started Blue Dragon today.
Yeah, that's cool. I was watching some of it.
A game that is massively slept on. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. It was it's a really good game. I haven't played it in probably a decade, but it is a really good JRPG for a system that did not have JRPGs.
No, that was kind of their way to make it in on the Japanese market for a system that like had sold like thousands of Xbox 360s in that region. Like it was not very prevalent there. So they're we're gonna get Mistwalker on board. We're gonna have them make us an exclusive game, did not. It didn't really help, but
no, it didn't. But that's like the sad thing is like the two exclusive JRPGs that I can think of. There may have been other exclusives, but the two that I think of on 360 are bangers.
Yeah,
Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey are amazing JRPGs.
It's like
Courtney. They have a lot of cutscenes. You'd hate them.
Yeah, but it's cool. There's kids who are using their shadows, that are monsters in battle.
Yeah.
So like
it's like turn based.
Yeah,
just a really it's a good time.
It's really cool. All the art is or the art direction was done by Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball fame.
Yep, Dragon Ball, Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So
very cool look. Yeah, like you said, very overlooked at the time. Still overlooked. It was one that I never got super deep into. I'd like to again. I mean, obviously you're playing that on Xbox, correct?
Yep.
Cool.
Playing it on Series X. It's on the Xbox.
I think that got like up-resed with like the Xbox One X update.
I mean, it looks
compatibility
pretty good.
Stuff.
Yeah. I thought it was a little dark, so I actually turned the brightness up. It just the whole game looked dark at its normal settings, so turned it up a little bit. But yeah, no, I think it looks fine. It's good so far. We only made it like 2.5 hours in because it was a shorter stream because we finished Echo Generation. But
sure,
it was a good time. I was glad to get into it. So I got two big old JRPGs I'm going to work through on the channel. And then the other thing that I'm starting back up again, starting this week, is I'm moving on from JavaScript. We're not going back to JavaScript. JavaScript broke my heart.
Again?
We are going to work on Python. So I'm learning Python.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Snake charming, huh?
Something like that.
Yeah, so you bought a flute and a basket.
We're one day in, and it went fine. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'm doing it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I'm slowing down a little bit on the cadence of programming to make sure I don't explode my head again.
Yeah, don't do that. You need that. You need your head.
I do need my head. Yeah. It's barely being held together by my bandana. So.
It's coming apart up there.
It's
right. Everywhere.
That's right. But that's all I've been playing. Now, tomorrow, John, you probably know more about this because you're plugged into the industry.
Always.
John is the industry.
John is the industry. That's right. Tomorrow's State of Play does not happen without John Carson.
It's true.
I'm not there to write about it. Did it really happen?
It did not.
So that's tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time. I hope it's Central Time. It is Central Time, right? Okay, good.
20 minutes of
just a little guy.
New PlayStation footage from third-party games.
Yeah, so I'll be covering that on the stream. I'm sure Game Informer will be covering that as well. Do you know if you're going to be on a live stream for it or anything?
I will not be. I will be writing probably. But our video guys, Alex Van Aken and Alex Stadnik, will be on there. So catch the VOD because this will be live after the fact. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So, yep, new State of Play tomorrow. I can't think of any other events. Anything else coming up? We got the Xbox 30th anniversary, but that's still a little out.
20th anniversary, and that's
what I said.
November 15th. And
okay, we got
there's
time.
no new game announcements there. They've already said that. So
that's right.
That's probably just a lot of fan event stuff, maybe updates on upcoming stuff, but nothing new from like Obsidian or Bethesda or the million of game studios that Xbox owns now.
Yes, the half of the industry that isn't owned by Sony.
Yeah. Or like Tencent.
Yeah. Right.
Or Epic. Or NetEase. There's like 6 companies that Embracer Group.
Yeah, that's right. They've made their stake. They came up in last week's show, actually.
Yeah, they did exactly. Because they own everything.
They do. They should stop, or they should. I don't know. Whatever.
We'll see. Embrace it. Embrace their takeover.
If you like quality comments like that, might I direct you over to your nearest podcast app and leave us a 5-star review. This that really would go a long way to keeping us saying that kind of stuff on the air.
Wow.
I could be making so much money for the Embracer Group. by writing clean copy like that.
Tell them to listen to the podcast and pay us for the ad you just posted.
We bought you. Embrace it.
Oh my
God. John's gonna send me a text message later this week, be like, oh, by the way, we're part of the Embracer group.
Yeah,
now.
we've been bought by the Embracer group. We are under actually Saber Interactive now. I asked for Deep Silver. They said no.
But yes, please leave us a positive review. Please. I have to see what I have to put up with. Please. No,
it's hard to stay positive. We need you to give us positive.
That's right. It does a good job of getting us out in front of new listeners. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow this thing. So, and if you guys would like to comment on our comments, which it seems like maybe in the last couple minutes there's a lot to talk about, reach out to us on Patreon, patreon.com/procedurally generated. Reach out to us on Twitter at PG_show, right? I started to say that. And
no, that's
weird.
it. That's it.
There's an underscore there.
Yeah.
Email. You can email us at pgshowinbox@gmail.com. You can click on the Discord link found below in the show notes. We have a TikTok, PG_podcast, which I've actually fallen a little behind. I got to get a couple more episodes out. I think I'm on episode 12.
It's fine.
You're catching up. Still catching up. That's right. I've been busy. And then you can also find us on Twitch. Not a PG account, but we're all individually on Twitch. Not yet, yes. But we're all individually on Twitch. I'm CW719, CDUBYA719. John, you are?
John Carson Games. Also, I guess Game Informer.
That's true.
I own that account.
Oh yeah. Game Informer.
I'm on there once a month, maybe, give or take. I'll be
Courtney,
on there a lot next weekend, though. Sorry. Go on.
And Courtney, you are?
Mecha Sprite. And I know I haven't been streaming. I know. But we're coming up on spoopy game season.
Uh-huh.
We're there already.
Spoopy games. Well, there's going to be some spoopy games, and there's going to be a stream.
Perfect.
It's going to happen.
Can you tease any of the spoopy games? Or would you rather not?
Well,
I
mean, there was a big update that came out.
Yeah, that's true. 0.4.0. Let's go. Phasmophobia. I'm so tapped into the game industry that I know the version numbers for games.
I'm a little scared about that, John. I'm a little scared.
I think for some reason I read it like yesterday and it just stuck in my head. Like, that's a weird version number.
I'll never forget
that
it.
game's not out yet.
I have concerns.
That's
concerns.
Right. The job has broken me in ways that I did not think possible. All good ways, though. All great ways.
Well, on that note, should we fire up our first game here?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh God, so much excitement.
I know.
John, I think who introduced? Should I introduce? I'll introduce this one. I'll take this one.
Sure.
Unless Courtney would like to.
I mean, all I'm going to do is read from Wikipedia for you.
Okay. All right. I never got you the template.
That's what I got.
I'll get you the template.
There's a template?
There's a template, yeah. Well, that I use. John uses his own thing, but it helps me stay organized. Helps me keeps my thought in line.
My thoughts are too chaotic to keep in one template.
Don't let me forget. I will get it to you, and then you can see kind of what I use. Anyways, our first game, developed by Nippon Ichi, published by Nippon Ichi. I should say Nippon Ichi Software, Incorporated, if we want to be official. We have a 2D side-scrolling adventure platformer, I think, with some puzzle elements.
Yeah. Yes, all of this is.
Released in the year 2019 for the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation Vita, and the Nintendo Switch. I had never heard of this game coming into it. This is a game called The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince.
I feel like I've seen this around, but I've never played it. And I didn't know that Nippon Ichi made it. It was always like in the eShop. It's probably on sale or whatever. But yeah, this is a cute little adventure side-scrolling platformer where you play as a wolf who has accidentally injured a prince and blinded him And you're trying to make good on that by bringing the boy, or like the prince, to a witch to regain his sight. And so the witch gives the wolf powers to transform into a princess. And you're constantly like transforming back and forth between this scary wolf that can attack things and this friendly princess who the prince trusts. And you're like guiding the prince by hand throughout the environments. It's a very cute looking game.
It is. It's the art style is super cutesy.
It's like storybook
yeah.
sketch, like someone sketched it with like pencils or pens.
But the thing with the aesthetic, it's not super appealing to me as like visually. Like I don't look at that game and be like, ooh, I need to play that. But
I had just the opposite reaction.
So you had the opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
Now despite saying that, after doing my research, finding out a little bit more about what the story entails, that art style matches perfectly, because even though the game has a really cute art aesthetic, it's also seems to me like it's going to be incredibly somber.
Yeah.
Like the tone is kind of dark and deceitful. It's just the way that, I mean, the music is really somber. So I think the art style actually fits. I still don't know if I can make it through a game like that with that art style. But what stood out to you, Courtney, for the art style? Like, what are you like? Ooh.
It's like cutesy goth.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I really like the art style, and like even before reading what the game was about, just seeing like a first like little image screenshot of it, I was like, ooh, that looks cool. And I know I just got done telling you guys that I'm not into side scrollers.
But this one.
This
one. It has to draw you in the right way.
And I would say it's the artwork that drew me into this one.
Okay. See, I would be willing to bet
the
too.
Artwork drew me in.
John, I need you to go ahead and insert a rim shot. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's just gonna be Awesome Possum. That's all I've got. That's the only sound
I have. It's the only sound I've ever done.
Yeah, it's the only one I've got. That one was too much work. I need to work it into more episodes.
I will say, even though it is a side scroller, I think that this is probably one that's more your pace, less like you're not gonna have like the quick Metroidvania jumping around. I don't think this one seemed much more deliberate, much slower. It said platforming, but it feels like puzzles play a bigger role. Yeah.
But what I wish is that this were like an Apple Store game that I could play on an iPad.
Okay.
Because this it looks and feels like it should be some kind of like mobile game like that. Like it's
like a Switch.
I mean, it was on. Yeah, I don't have a Switch.
Okay.
Why would I have a Switch?
PlayStation Vita.
There you go.
It belongs on my iPad.
I see. This is an
with
iPad
my other
game,
like stupid puzzle games.
Gotcha. All right, that's fair. You should get a Switch. I'm just throwing that out there.
I've heard this. I've heard this.
It's like a little PC.
Well,
you can't play Call of Duty on it though. I'm sorry.
The problem is, I would get a Switch and I would get Animal Crossing, and you might never see me again.
This is
all right. True. I don't want that last part to happen, but I want you to enjoy that game.
My wife would be eager to share her house with you.
There, all right.
There you go.
I'm moving in with Kate.
Real house or
both? We got a guest room. You can play Animal Crossing in the bed down here. She'll be up there.
All right.
That bed does look comfy.
When I get my Switch and completely lose myself to that game and forget about all other aspects of life, I will end up living in your guest room and having a good time with Kate.
Perfect.
All right.
This one was a hard one to find a lot of information on. The only thing that I really got regarding like the origin of the game is that it just came from kind of an internal session within the company of like, hey, you guys work here, pitch us some ideas.
Yeah, what you got?
I don't even have. Yeah, that's just it. I don't even have the name of the person who pitched it, but it was a web designer for the studio who pitched it.
So they said it was a web designer, and so I was going through the credits on Moby, And the only person who's like credited for like story and like pretty like higher up things was someone named Sayaka Oda, who is a web designer for Nippon Ichi, who worked on this, and they worked on, I think, like one. Yeah, this was the only game that they worked on as like in like the design territory. So they were a character designer and they worked on the story. Otherwise, they were a web designer for everything else. Nidhogg 2, Yomawari Midnight Shadows, Criminal Girls 2 Party Favors, which kind of want to know what that game's about because that sounds wild.
That one to show up on the list.
Lapis X Labyrinth, like a bunch of Nippon Ichi games that there are web design stuff for. So I'm guessing it's them. But I also didn't see an exact name that was given to the person. So yeah, Sayaka Oda is that person that I think it is. But yeah, not a lot there for for development stuff. It's weird to see Nippon Ichi do something that's not like a strategy game or something that's related to Disgaea, or at least something in the realm of a puzzle platformer. It's not something that they do often. So I was just intrigued to see that.
Yeah, and this is the second time we've covered a Nippon Ichi game, and coincidentally, the two games that we've covered are right next to each other alphabetically.
Oh, weird.
It's a pretty dumb coincidence, but I noticed it. Because the other game we covered was Little Princess Maru Okoku no Ningyo Hime 2. We did that on episode 23.
On our comeback episode.
That's right. So this is the second time we've covered a Nippon Ichi game, and those are two very different games.
Yes.
Little Princess, that's a strategy game, right? That's more of a...
No, that was just a turn-based RPG, I believe.
Was it? Okay.
The previous one, the original one, Rhapsody was a strategy game.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
But still an RPG though. Like I think that's like their defining thing is RPGs.
So I mean, we also covered kind of the development of Nippon Ichi in another show. So I really don't even have much
like a recent show. So
yeah, it was like we're not going to rehash the same.
They're
stuff.
still going. They do Disgaea. They do East. They're handling all of the Trails of Cold Steel games. They don't make those games, but they're definitely publishing them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, for this game, on Metacritic, it sits at a 72 on the Switch, and the user score agrees 100% at 7.2. So it's 72 for Switch. 72 for the Metacritic, 7.2 for the user score. Fair open critic rating, top critic average of 73 with 59% of critics recommending. So very, average reception for the game. I look at that game and I can't imagine it's longer than maybe a 6-hour thing. I don't know.
Yeah, like reading the synopsis of it too, it doesn't seem like it's that long or like there's that much story or character development that happens.
Yeah. But I do think that if not a game that I'm probably going to play, but I think that the thing that might appeal to me the most, which is a weird way to say that based on what I'm going to say next, is that it seems like it's going to be one of those games that just really is kind of sentimental and emotional.
Yeah.
As these two characters kind of learn more about each other, because it's the liar princess, because she is essentially responsible for blinding the prince. It's the prince doesn't know that, and
the prince doesn't know that she's a wolf.
Yeah,
because he's blind.
I think part of the story too is that the princess convinces the prince that she is a princess from a neighboring country. So there's probably, there's going to be some sadness along the way,
right?
From how the story is set up. So,
I will say that the game is on sale currently on Switch and PS4 for $9.99. It's usually $20, so get a little discount there. That's nice.
So I might need to dust off my Netflix streaming machine and play a game on
it. Yes, that's it.
Oh.
I didn't know you had a PS4. You keep on referring to it as your Netflix streaming machine. I thought that was like that wasn't a very efficient way of just saying that you watch something on Netflix.
It's like I mean, it does have other streaming platforms
my Squid
on it.
Game player.
Yeah, my Squid Game player. It'll do some
Bebop
HBO,
machine.
some Amazon Prime. It does all the streaming things.
None of the gaming stuff anymore.
Yeah, but I could make an exception for this.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Well, there you go. It's on
let's not spoil our top 3.
Oh, we're just starting.
We'll have to.
Top 3 games I'd dust off my PS4 for.
Yeah.
I'm curious where this one will end up for you, given what we know about your youth with video games. That's a little spoiler. We'll figure that out later. But should we go ahead and take our first break?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right, cool. We'll see you guys in just a little bit. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. We just had an interesting exchange that you guys will sadly probably never get to hear. Maybe it'll be like bonus material.
Yes,
it'll be on the
Chris,
B-side.
Thank you. I had a great break. I got some water. I think you did as well.
I did.
Screw you guys.
Courtney has water in spirit. It's she's right there in solidarity with us.
Courtney is at least 70% water already.
Would it be solidarity or would it be liquidarity? If you were to get water.
That one made me audibly groan.
Start it over again. We're starting the whole podcast over.
Take 4. Nope, we're gonna roll with it. We're here. John.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce our second game?
Yeah, we have a little bit of a strange one here.
What?
This is a strange game from 2002 for the Microsoft Xbox. Also came out on PC and PlayStation 2 at a later date. Developed by WXP, also known as The Whole Experience, which is just a heck of a game development studio name. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Based on the 1954 novel by J.R.R. Tolkien. Not the movies. This is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. An action-adventure game that was released, after the first movie came out, but before Two Towers was released. So a very confusing time for licensed Lord of the Rings games. Chris, do you remember when this came out?
I don't. I'm trying to think. 2002. I would have been a sophomore in high school.
Same.
Wait, what? You were a sophomore in high school? No.
In 2002? Yeah.
Aren't I like 4 years older than you?
No.
Oh.
Why did I pick that?
I thought you were too.
Yeah, I'm 36. How old are you?
34. I
guess
graduated
we're not
in
sophomores at the same time.
Yeah.
Graduated in 2005.
I graduated in 2004. How are you a sophomore? Did you take your junior year twice?
In 2002? Like at the beginning of, or like my sophomore year started in 2002.
What? No, because then you're ending in 2003. Oh, wait, shit.
The math that's going on C-Dub's face right now.
I know.
Amazing.
I was a freshman.
This is why we need to record. This is why we have to record Sunday at noon.
Start it over.
I'm at the top of my game. 2002.
Take it back.
I graduated in 2004. I'm gonna graduate. Yeah. Oh shoot. You're right.
You graduated in 2004.
Yep. I was just taking the 2 year, like, hey, sophomore 2002, 2003.
Two things could be true in 2002. That you could be a sophomore and a junior that year, and I could be a freshman and a sophomore that year.
That's true. That's true. You just blew my mind. I never even thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
The things you learn on the PG podcast.
Jeez. I'm gonna need to sit down for
so back to my point. This came out at a weird time where people were really into the first Peter Jackson adaptation of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and people were anticipating. Don't know where I was going with that word. They were anticipating The Two Towers being released, and so almost it felt like out of nowhere this like novel adaptation dropped that had nothing to do with the movies. None of the voice actors were from the movies. None of the characterizations were from the movies. It doesn't follow the exact plot of the movies. So for like me, who was introduced to Lord of the Rings through the movies, that was a little bit off-putting for me at the time. I'm like, oh, so it's not the same stuff. Like I know it goes. I knew it followed the books instead, but I had tried reading the first Lord of the Rings book and would only make it like 90 pages in, like every time that I tried reading it. So that wasn't the adaptation that I wanted. Even though like essentially it's telling the same story. And these days I feel like I would probably want to try this version more than the EA versions that came out, except for Return of the King. I think was really good as like an action RPG. But so very different adaptations. I never played this either.
You never played this one?
I know. I always saw it in like magazines. I saw it at like Blockbuster.
Okay.
And I always thought it was like a top-down point-and-click adventure. I didn't realize it was like just a third-person walk around the Shire adventure.
I never would have realized then. I think I'd heard of the game. I guess I assumed that it was a video game version of the movie. I never back then. I never would have thought. I was fine with Lord of the Rings, but it was not something that I was big into back then.
Yeah.
So this one kind of it passed me by at the time.
I think it passed everyone by.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it did. Yeah, we'll talk about some of the critical reception later. But it is. So yes, you mentioned it's obviously based on the book, not the movie. Yeah. But I mean, beat for beat, it is. It does. I mean, those things are.
It is like the main things from both.
Yeah, I think that the game actually has stuff included in it from the book that wasn't included in the movie.
Right.
A couple of smaller parts. Let's see.
Lots of dialogue.
Tom Bombadil was included in the game, not in the movie. As well as did Tolkien have songs in the
I think so.
In the books there were songs. Yeah. There were definitely songs.
Okay, because those songs.
The book didn't like give you a melody, but it gave you a lot of lyrics.
It gave you all like
pages of lyrics.
Pages of lyrics.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Pretend like you're Gandalf, just smoking that pipe weed and just listening to these hobbits sing about the Shire.
So it looks like you have the ability to play between as Frodo, Aragorn, or Gandalf.
Yeah, and it kind of switches as you go on through the game. Like you start off as Frodo in the Shire and like trying to work your way out of there and like let people know that you're buying a house in a different part of the Shire to kind of like trick people into thinking that you aren't going on an epic adventure with your best friend Sam and some elves and a dwarf and a tall magician who might be Jesus. I don't know. But yeah, like that's the whole thing with hobbits, right? Like they don't like adventure. They like their cushy lives. Mm-hmm. They don't like knowing people who go on adventures because it's too much of a bother. If I'm interpreting that correctly. That's why like Bilbo was technically like kind of famous as a hobbit, but maybe a little bit on the outskirts of the population for like being celebrated as a hobbit, like within the Hobbit. I could be getting this like completely wrong because I never like read all the books, but that's the impression that I've gotten through the years is if you're a hobbit, don't go out in the world and do stuff. Don't do cool things. Don't go skydiving. Don't get tattoos. People are gonna think you're weird. So Frodo, you're just trying to set out on that adventure, and then once you meet Aragorn, you kind of take over playing as Aragorn, and then eventually once you get to like the Mines of Moria, then you take over as Gandalf. They all play different, so Frodo's more like running around. Frodo's the only one who can jump, I think I read, which is interesting. But he's more into like pushing and pulling boxes. He can use the one ring to make himself invisible, and he can also throw stones. Aragorn he has like the most health out of everyone. He also has the strongest attacks because he's a big beefy sword man compared to the other two. So he's more action, swinging swords and stuff, while Gandalf is using magic, of course, and his sword. And just being rad overall, fighting demons and stuff, as you do when you're Gandalf.
Mm-hmm.
Demons on bridges.
So, like, the most curious aspect of this game that I found, and I'm kind of kicking myself because I didn't take a look at the differences.
Yeah.
WXP developed the Xbox version of this game.
They sure did.
There's a PC and PlayStation 2 version, and there's a Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah, I didn't look into the Game Boy Advance version, but that sounds actually pretty interesting because it's supposed to be turn-based, and it's supposed to cover the story from the beginning of Fellowship to like the middle of Two Towers.
Okay.
Because it's called like Lord of the Rings Part 1.
So is the Xbox version completely different from the PlayStation 2 version as they're different developers? Or were they...
I think the PS2 one is modeled after the Xbox one, but it's using like a different engine.
Okay.
But the stuff that when I was researching, it seemed like they were showing off both versions at the same time.
Okay.
In like
so
like press
the same
shows.
Thing. It's just weird that two separate developers built the same game.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Which I mean happens sometimes. Like if you're given assets from one game to make say you're making a game on GameCube and you're making a game on PS2, it's different architecture. Like sure they're somewhat similar, but you're gonna kind of have to build the game in two different ways.
Yeah. Okay.
So having different studios like collaborating on that would be usually the course of action for that. Also, it's different now. Everything's like a PC now. Or phone.
That was kind of my next point. It's the idea that back in 2002, the Xbox version was created by one company, while the PC and PlayStation 2 versions were created by Surreal. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case these days.
No.
It would very much be the PC and the Xbox version being created together, and PlayStation off in its own world. But
or like one's completed, and then they hire another house to port stuff over.
Right. Would you consider this based on what you saw? I didn't see anything, but would you say that this functioned more as a port as opposed to two games being built from the ground up?
I think they're close enough. The footage that I watched was the Xbox one, and then one was the PC one, and like a lot of times, especially with games of that age, like the UI looked very different between the two. But like the overall game looked the same.
I gotcha.
So like cutscenes and gameplay and all of that looked similar. So if it's like comparing not specifically the Xbox and PS2 versions, but the Xbox and PC versions, who were both made by separate developers, I'd say that's close enough. So
okay. But it's Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's the first book.
It is. There's a lot of dialogue. It seems like even the dialogue was taken straight from the books.
Okay.
Just like handed to the the voice actor like, here, just read this. I don't know, you're an old wizard, Harry.
That doesn't sound like the right franchise.
You're an old wizard, Harry. But yeah, I guess they had like 5,000 lines of dialogue for this game. Or like that was one of the things that they were boasting about it before it was released.
It did seem like when I watched the YouTube video, every time I'd scrub through to try to find gameplay, it would be somebody talking.
Yeah. Yep.
It was really hard to find anything other than talking.
It's the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Shocking how that worked out. But yeah, I don't have too much beyond that myself. Do you have more about the game proper? I guess I found the idea
it looks
of how...
like watching it. Like it comes from a time when we have things like Morrowind coming out. You have big sprawling RPGs, and like a little bit of this looks like a low rent Witcher 3, kind of like with Frodo walking around the Shire. It's like semi-open world, and like him going up and just talking to people or like hitting things with a stick. I just got like this weird like Witcher 3 vibe from it.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why, but
I got shades of like Fable, like the first Fable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kind of that aesthetic. But again, like as I scrub through, it looked like a pretty standard fare action RPG.
Yeah. Even less than standard fare. Like it is more focused on telling that story. But like the action it doesn't look great. It doesn't look like all that tight or fast or exciting for the combat. It's you swing your sword, it's like the same animation every time.
So yeah, and when John says it doesn't look great, it doesn't mean it doesn't look great here in 2021. It doesn't look great for the time.
Yeah.
So
it looks like it had platformer combat, but without like the platforming. If that makes sense. Like you were just like swinging at stuff occasionally. Like it's not exciting Zelda combat or like anything that you're doing in like Morrowind. Like you don't have any like with Gandalf obviously you have spells. With Aragorn you have like his sword. But like you're not doing anything extraordinary with anything that you're doing. So
yeah. I think you nailed it. You're not doing anything extraordinary in this game.
Yeah. Except telling the tale of Lord of the Rings, which
it's extraordinary on its own.
Right. There you go. If you want to watch it like it's an Xbox game from 2002, go for it.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff on YouTube. I mean, the game itself on Metacritic, it's new enough to have a Metacritic score. It's sitting at a 59 with a user score of 6.1. So not beloved, we'll say. But
in more ways than one.
True. I did do a little bit of work trying to find out a little bit about WXP, the whole experience.
The entire experience, the whole shebang.
My first mistake was clicking on the link in Moby to check out their website.
Oh no. Is that a whitehouse.com situation?
It is.
You got the whole experience, Chris?
I got the whole experience. I haven't been to a website like that. Oh, geez. Don't click on that link.
All right.
I should message somebody, but like, you guys probably want to change
Don't
this.
Put it in the Discord.
No,
wow.
Don't want it.
But yes, it did get me searching to see if I could find.
Put you on a list.
Exactly, right. Speaking of, that's a funny story. My
list of people who wants the whole experience.
My sister-in-law is a toxicologist, and she had to do a search for some agency who just happens to have the initials ISIS.
Oh no!
And now she is on. Yeah, I think she must have gotten put on that list because now she always has her luggage checked at the airport.
Oh no!
But WXP, as I said, short for the whole experience. Lord of the Rings. This was their second game after a game called Spearhead.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went on to do 2 Greg Hastings paintball games.
I remember those games.
A Scene It game.
Those existed.
A licensed game called The Daring Game for Girls, and an Xbox arcade game called Exotic.
Yep.
From all I could tell, they do not exist anymore. But I got excited when I saw that they worked on Greg Hastings paintball. And I got excited because I remember, I don't think I'm delusional here, there was an Xbox game that had like one of the best games for the console for the longest time was a paintball.
Greg Hastings paintball, yeah.
Well, I don't think it's the Greg Hastings ones though, because
sure?
I looked at Metacritic.
Yeah.
And it's not great. Like, unless I looked up maybe the second one accidentally or something.
I just looked up Xbox paintball game that's good.
Was that your actual search
You would
term?
think this would be a very narrow list, pretty easy to zero in on.
Greg Hastings paintball 2.
Is it? Paintball 2. Well, okay, then maybe it was the first one bad.
This one has achievements. It has 3,000 achievement points.
Okay.
So plenty of achievement points.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of gamers. 5,000 gamers played it.
I honestly was like doing my research, and as I saw the paintball games, I started to feel like I was going crazy because I remembered that there was a very well liked paintball game, but then I started to tell myself, that sounds
Greg Hastings tournament paintball.
Okay.
Greg Hastings is going to be really upset that you forgot his name.
And WXP. It's all about the branding, right? You gotta have the whole title in there. It's like when I'm talking about Marvel's Spider-Man or Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy or the upcoming Marvel's Wolverine, you gotta put Marvel in there.
It's true. And Greg Hastings and Marvel
you're talking about
are
same level.
Same level.
The Greg 100%. Hastings metaverse is just blown up right now.
Yeah. No, I can say with absolute confidence that I didn't know who Greg Hastings was then. I don't know who he is now.
Apparently he's a paintballer.
Apparently he shoots
paintballer.
Mm-hmm.
He's real good.
But that's they've had a very all over the place kind of a development history. Like I said, they're no longer around. I tried to kind of follow along with the developers to see what they're doing now, and I lost the threads. I couldn't find anybody who is still doing anything. Did you find any individual credits kind of worth mentioning?
No.
Post WXP, I didn't either. I thought one of the names sounded familiar, but I
thought so too.
I think it's just a common name, or maybe very similar to another name. So for that reason, I'm not really even going to mention it because I don't want to conflate the two. But yeah, that's Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I don't know what else to really talk about with this one. It's again a very straightforward action RPG based on a license. Developed by a company that developed a little bit of everything for a little while.
Mm-hmm. For like 10 years.
And their old website is now a porn site.
Whoa, Chris.
Wow.
Point that out. I think we dropped enough context clues earlier.
I just wanted to make sure I walked people the rest of the
way. You don't have to give us the whole experience here, Chris.
Listen.
It's not.
That's a well-played pun. I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you.
All right.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Uh-huh.
To do this show.
Let's jump into our final game. A game that I can only assume hits real close to home for Courtney.
Thanks a lot.
Real close to...
Thanks a lot.
Real close to a home run.
Oh...
I'm not giving you.
Wouldn't that just be a bunt if it's close to home?
Are we talking about close to home or close to a home run? Because
close
yes
to home.
is
close
yes
to home.
One of those. Okay, got it.
If you bunt it properly, though, it might be close to a home run.
It's close to home.
If you bunt it properly, it should come nowhere near being a home run.
And you're the Flash.
I see. Okay,
you have super speed.
You kept out a very
There's
important
some
part of that.
qualifications here.
I thought that we didn't need to speak about being the Flash. I thought that was implied.
I don't know if that's a reference to something, but we're going to move on.
Not. Don't worry about it. I'm just going mad slowly.
Our third game is published by Mattel Electronics. we have ourselves a baseball game released in 1983 on the one and only Intellivision.
Yeah!
I've never played this game. I've never played an Intellivision, but you know who has? Courtney. Courtney,
have.
tell us about World Series. No, you've probably never played. Did you ever get a chance to play World Series Major League Baseball?
The cover of this game is very familiar. There's a very good chance we had this game, but it's baseball, so I probably didn't play it.
That's fair. That
fair. Is fair.
Yeah. Yes. So we learned a couple of weeks ago that Courtney had an Intellivision growing up. And I don't know much about Intellivision, period. So this was exciting when this is our first Intellivision game on the show. After I think I checked last week we covered our 100th game.
Oh wow!
On the show.
Oh.
Yeah, the match.
Which one was it?
Probably no. I guess it doesn't work out. The 100th game was. I'll find it for you. I'll find it here quick. Give me 1 second.
It was. And was Timmy mad about it?
No, it was the second game that we covered. Oh, it must have been Secret. Was it Secret Agent?
Secret Agent.
So at first I thought that Timmy was like excited about last week's episode, but then it kind of seemed like he hated us.
Which I felt was going to happen after we did that show.
Yeah, I think he had a bone to pick with a certain somebody who doesn't like story in their games. Oh no,
what?
It was Miramasa. It was Miramasa. That was our 100th game.
Oh, even better.
Yep.
Which has 108 swords in it. We were almost there.
That was a good pause.
So, World Series Major League Baseball is a baseball sports game that supports both ECS, which I have that written down here somewhere. What that is? That is the. Oh boy, I have a lot written down. Boy, I found a lot of stuff for this game.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some interesting stuff in it.
Yes, it is the.
It's not just baseball.
Entertainment computer system. There we go. And Intellivoice for play-by-play announcements. The game is based on real baseball player statistics, even though the names had been changed to fictional ones before the release, and offers baseball games using multiple cameras, including in-game split screen, showing the game on a 3D display rather than side-scrolling fashion.
Which is really impressive, like watching this in motion.
It is for a game that came out 2 years.
A bajillion years ago.
Yeah. It was out before I was born. I mean, my first experience with games was NES.
It was out during my sophomore year of high school.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not wrong. That's actually that's an accurate statement. This game existed in the world when you were a sophomore in high school. But I watched a little bit of gameplay for this game. It looks impossible. I watched a guy swing at 9 straight pitches and didn't hit any of them.
It's like me playing the show.
Yeah, probably. But
really
I then watched his
batting in that game.
I watched him in the outfield and watched him throw from third base to left field, to center field, to right field. All the while, like the guy that the CPU is like on his way to third. He doesn't know how to throw to the right base. I don't know why you would have to throw back to the outfield in the first place. That doesn't seem like a very efficient baseball play.
It was the 80s baseball meta.
True.
It was a different time.
So
you've seen Major League, right? It was a very different time in the 80s.
I think you just need to look at the controller for the Intellivision and wonder how anybody played anything on that system.
That's a fair point. This game is still, to me though, it is impressive for what it eventually led to. When I looked at this, I was like, oh, it's just another. I mean, just another,
yeah, it's just baseball. Like
it's just baseball. It's a baseball
baseball
sim, and that was it. But when I watched the gameplay, I was like, it was cool because it had a pitcher cam, a little bit more offset to the right than we're used to nowadays. Yeah,
they call it a center field cam, I think.
To me, from it looked almost like it was like in the home run porch of right field.
Right.
They were kind of setting that
but
up.
But it is like a little bit further back. It seems like it's behind third base somewhere.
Yeah, I think it might actually be pretty in line with how cameras were set up in the 80s for these games, because that's kind of, I mean, I have a little bit about like how the game came about. Do you guys have anything else on gameplay that you want to talk about?
No, not other than like the faux 3D looks really cool for like the technology that it's using. It does look like it's all 2D sprites, but something in there makes it look like it's on a 3D plane. And I don't know if they're somehow rendering it like that, or if it's really good like sprite trickery that's happening. Even just like pitches going from the mound to the plate look like they're traveling through 3D space.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of a curve. It does look like the ball is traveling further away from the screen toward the batter. The animations, I mean,
animations are great, which we'll probably get into here in a bit as to why those animations look cool.
Exactly, true. So, oh my gosh, I didn't write down the guy's first name.
Baseball was invented in the 1800s by Philip J. Baseball.
I'm gonna let you keep going.
Famous for making the taquito, everyone's favorite baseball park snack.
I just want to see how far you're gonna go.
I don't know what's happening right now.
That's all I got.
All right. I missed.
I've exhausted myself.
I missed writing down this guy's first name. I have his last name. I didn't get his first name. Daglow. Do you have his first name?
Oh, Don. It's Don.
Don Dag. Okay.
Don
While
Daglow.
watching a baseball game on TV in the spring of 1982, Don, D-O-N.
D-O-N.
Is that right?
Yeah.
D-O-N. Okay. Don Daglow realized that the Intellivision could mimic the same camera angles shown in the broadcast. So he saw baseball and was like, I can make baseball. He immediately wrote a proposal for a new baseball game and received approval from Group Vice President Gabriel Baum to start work. So this is Intellivision. So Mattel Electronics published this game. Mattel Electronics is responsible for the Intellivision. So this is all happening within Mattel. So he found his programmer through a job placement office of his alma mater, Pomona College. All of this is, by the way, just basically being read from Wikipedia. Not a lot of history on this game in any other place that I could find.
But very, very great detailed history on this Wikipedia page.
Yes, it is really
for like
well done.
3 years of history on this one game.
The person that he found is Eddie Dumbrour, who was a programmer, an animator, and I thought this was an interesting note at the time, but it made sense.
It's like why'd they throw this in?
Right. And he's a classically trained dancer.
Oh.
So, yes, Eddie Dumbrour had invented the DOM dance notation system on the Apple II computer as a way for choreographers to record dance moves the same way composers write down music. The goal with World Series Baseball for Don Daglow was to have very good animations and things like that. So since this game was going to require stellar animations, that is the reason why Dumbrour was chosen for the job.
And for someone who's been used to putting complex body movements onto paper in like a specific order of how it should happen, like that's kind of the perfect person to get to do your animations for a sports game, for like realistic body movements for the actions.
Yeah, and it translated, like I said, super well. Some amazing animations for a game.
Especially when you're only working with like a handful of pixels to like convey what's actually happening for each character.
Right. Let's see. By October 1982, Dumbrour had his first screen display running, complete with another first. Now we're going to get into this. There's some innovations that came from this game, and this is where I think the most impressive aspect of the game, kind of where those details lie. There was an inset screen to show the runner taking his lead off of first base, and this was the first time picture-in-picture was used in a video game.
Oh, cool.
So you think about it nowadays, it's, you play the show now, common knowledge as a batter, runners on first, he's just there. Literally that started with this game.
Even like RBI Baseball on the NES had that similar thing. If you'd start leading off, like it would cut to that camera and that picture in picture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a very cool thing.
I mean, an innovation that started almost, coming up on 40 years ago. Let's take a look here. So then we get into kind of the business side of things a little bit. So
the money ball.
Yeah, exactly. Baum and Daglow showed the prototype to Mattel's marketing department, which at the time was locked in an advertising war, a TV ad war, with Atari for trying to position themselves as the top video game console in America. Again, this was in 1983, so if you know anything about your video game history, you probably know what's coming. The game was not slated to be completed until the middle of 1983. Let's see, this must have happened in 1982. Sorry. The company rushed a new commercial into production for Christmas, where they kind of positioned the Intellivision as the future of video games. They pushed World Series baseball. Let's see here. They were also using this commercial to dissuade consumers from buying both the Atari and the ColecoVision, which was also coming out around this time. Let me scroll down here. Let's see. I'm just scanning through. I wrote down a lot, and a lot of it does not need to be shared. Let's see. The game had been announced for Christmas 1982, but it was, well, that's not written right. Basically, the game kept getting delayed. The game was delayed to the point where the video game crash kind of had cemented itself as a thing that was going to wreak havoc on this industry. And most of the video game market had been wiped out by the time this game was ever ready to ship. Now, to make things worse for the game, you get a game nowadays, basically it's kind of ready to go with whatever you're going to play it on. You can download it, you can get a physical copy, plug it in, you're good to go. This game could not be played without the use of the IntelliVoice voice synthesizer, which it was developed to use this peripheral, which was already being phased out by the time the game had released because of poorer than expected sales and declining user interest. Or I'm sorry, it didn't require that, but it did require the entertainment computer system. By the time the game was released and the ECS was released, an internal shakeup at the top levels of management at Mattel shifted the focus away from hardware add-ons and exclusively towards software. So the ECS was not well promoted. It was not readily available. And basically all of these things led to World Series baseball being basically one of the rarest titles in existence now for the Intellivision. There weren't many that sold. There wasn't availability to play it. It was just horribly mismanaged basically from the beginning, never given a chance to succeed. Daglow and Dumbrour went on though. This was not their only foray into the industry. They created Earl Weaver baseball.
I'd never heard of.
I hadn't either. I know Earl Weaver's a baseball player. That's all I knew. I didn't know he had his own baseball game. But that was released by Electronic Arts in 1987. They were able to kind of more flesh out the ideas behind World Series baseball. And this is also the game that kind of set the stage for the EA Sports product line as a whole. Let's see, in the mid-1990s, Daglow went on to lead the development of Tony La Russa baseball games, which I do remember those, further refining baseball simulations. So this game that was horribly managed, horribly promoted, delayed, caught in the middle of basically an industry crash, carries a lot of significance. As somebody who is a big fan of MLB The Show, I was going to say baseball games. There are not baseball games. There's a baseball game that I can play. Like it's we maybe would have gotten here eventually anyways. But a lot of the foundations were built with this Intellivision World Series baseball game that was never even given a chance. Other innovations included this is the first game to feature in-game play-by-play and stadium
and
background music.
that's what the Intellivoice was for.
That's what the Intellivoice was for, yeah.
If you watch videos of it, it's definitely a premature technology, but you get what they were going for. Like they were recording actual voice lines, or at least simulating voice lines with the Intellivoice. But it's a cool effect, like hearing them actually call like the strikes and balls and fouls, and all the plays that are happening, even if it's like weird stunted computer voice. It's a cool thing to see from a product from 1983, and especially from the Intellivision of all things.
Well, and it's the final thing that one of the more impressive things, especially knowing the space that they had to work with.
Not much.
This was also the very first game that utilized real statistics. There were like statistics. Basically, baseball players their stats were put into the game. All their names were changed. I'm assuming that's a licensing issue with MLB. I don't know.
Yeah, they said it was like last minute that everything was changed, which sucks.
yeah, that would be a bummer. But
I think there's only like 2 teams that it's using though. It's using an American League team and a National League team because it is the World Series.
It's true, yeah, and I think they changed the name to like kind of play off some of the developer names. There's like a Warhol that was involved in the development who's in the game, and I think
it was all people from a studio. I had it up here a little bit ago. Let me look. Let me see if I can find that quick. Sure. Blue Sky Rangers was the studio.
Okay.
Which is these folks. So Dave Warhol, Rick Koenig, Connie Goldman, Eddie Dombrour, and Don Daglow.
There you go. So a lot of innovations came from this game that came out before I knew what video games were. And it's just fun being able to see how this game led to games that are out today, like the show. I don't know exactly where that thread ends between EA Sports, Earl Weaver Baseball, however many iterations of that until Tony La Russa Baseball. I'm trying to think of the last EA Sports baseball game. I can't.
NCAA baseball, probably.
That might be it, because then it was MLB 2K was around for a little bit, a really short while, but then it's all been since like 2013. It's been.
I mean, there's been an RBI. There's been Mega. Whatever baseball.
Yeah, that's true. They could have gone the more arcadey path, which would have been especially strange since it's the first game.
I think the real thread here is trying to emulate the baseball that you see on TV.
Yeah.
And like those innovations and having that push forward to each iteration of simulation baseball, which I feel like has been present throughout history. And if this is the first one to kind of try to replicate that, that's really cool. And they did it pretty well. Like if you're only working with like 3 different camera angles and you're trying to nail those angles, I think they did, especially for working with the limited palette that they have to work with. So yeah, it's a neat baseball game.
It seems impossible to play. Like I will say that, but
I sent you both. If you look at the chat, I sent an eBay link to a couple of the Intellivision cards used for this game, and it shows all the button placements for like, because Intellivision's a weird horror of a controller where everything's like a 10-digit number pad.
You have a number pad, and then you've got a little dial, and I think there were buttons on the side.
There's buttons on the sides, yeah, because it shows buttons that you could press for like pitching and batting and stuff.
And if you lose those overlay cards, it's even more impossible.
You memorized all the buttons. Let's see. I have a little bit about just Mattel in the video game world.
They make Barbies.
They sure
make a
do.
Barbie, but another shrimp on the Barbie.
So
put me out of my misery tonight.
Well, Mattel released the Intellivision. I didn't realize the Intellivision was this old. I honestly I thought it was just like a console.
I thought it was older.
Out. Did you really? I guess I thought it was a console that came out when I was young, and I was like, Intellivision, I'll play the NES. But this thing came out in 1979. To me, that's shocking. It's let's see. It so they changed their focus after in the very early 80s from creating like peripherals like we mentioned before, the entertainment computer system, the ECS, and put more of a focus on developing software, and that actually helped the company grow from 100 employees to over 1,000 employees by 1982, which that's obviously colossal growth.
That's a lot, especially for a video game industry. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You could tell things were inflating at an exponential pace then.
Yeah. And the Intellivision had a lot going for it. It was a more powerful system than the Atari. It's really only other competitor at the time. And it's, I think even comparing, again, this is maybe a different case, but comparing this game to like an Atari game, Atari couldn't have, I can't honestly think Atari could have done a game like this. I can't say that for certain, but it was just I was pretty blown away by just this baseball game on the Intellivision. So by 1982, they had grown to over 1,000 employees. It didn't take long before things changed. The company posted a $394 million loss in 1983. That's like $11 billion these days.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Couple that with the introduction of the ColecoVision, and then also the sudden oversaturation of the video game market, ET, which attributed to the video game crash. And by January,
it wasn't just ET, Chris.
It's the most.
That's just a famous example of it.
The most well-known example. And by January 1984, Mattel Electronics was no more. So from growing to 1,000 employees in 1982, 2 short years later, they were out of business. Fast forward to almost 40 years later. It might end up being 40 years by the time this is all said and done. We are patiently awaiting the arrival of a new Intellivision system.
My dedicated Farkle system.
The Intellivision Amico.
Where you at, Tellerico? Where's my Intellivision? Where's my Amico?
Right. This was originally slated to release in October of 2020. Then April of 2021. Then October of 2021. Like right around now. And now it's TBD. So
everything is fluid right now for release dates.
No, this is
especially for consoles that have a pretty low chance of success in the greater market, in like the bigger video game market. They do want to position this more towards families and like just having things at the ready for people to play. There's some cool ideas in there. They're kind of using the Jackbox style of multiplayer, where you can use your phone as the controller and just like go to a website and connect to the console that way.
No blood, no guts, no swears.
Yeah.
They haven't made a lot of improvements to their controller. The controller,
it does come with two
the controller looks a little bit more modern, but it's still very definitely an Intellivision controller.
It sure is. Still has a dial. Well, has like a little D-pad that looks like a dial, and then a touch screen. It's like a little smartphone, little cheap smartphone.
So, yeah, we're waiting for that to come out. At this point,
you might review units.
You might as well
send them to Chris.
Might as well just wait until the. Well, I guess if the Intellivision came out in 1979, We've already crossed the 40 year.
Yeah, we've passed it.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, you passed it.
I guess you're gonna have to wait for the 45th anniversary.
All right, Tellerico. Wait another 4 years. 2 years.
What's
math?
This console reminds me of the Ouya in almost every possible way, just not for indie games. Well,
what about the Atari CVS that just came out?
Did that
remind you of that? It's out.
It's out.
It is out.
It?
No. It's just like a little Android box.
Oh.
For just $100, you could pre-order your Intellivision in graphite black, vintage wood grain, or glacier white.
If you're not getting vintage wood grain, what are you even doing?
Seriously.
Actually, as a GameStop employee, I would be remiss not to suggest the GameStop exclusive color.
Oh,
it's purple.
Galaxy purple.
Galaxy purple.
Why is it purple?
Pre-order yours today.
GameStop doesn't have the wood grain.
They do not. Obviously, the wood grain's the way to go. It's wood grain and gold. It just bleeds class.
Yes.
It just oozes sophistication, and it just wants you to farkle.
Oh boy.
Would you farkle with me?
I think it's flipping you off.
I can't think of a better way to end that segment than would you farkle with me? What say we rank these? What say we rank these games?
Number 1, Farkle. Actually, I think we've been over this. I really like Farkle. It's a good Yahtzee.
Even if we hadn't talked about it in the past,
it's way better than Yahtzee.
It's so good.
Hey, Yahtzee is not a good game. Just throwing that out there.
That's what my wife says.
Yeah, your wife gets it. She knows what's going on.
Chris, may I introduce you to another dice rolling game with scoring? That's it. That's all I've got. You can use the context clues.
Is it Farkle?
It's Farkle, Chris.
Oh, you're so good.
You got there.
Oh, jeez.
And you say that you don't like puzzles. I mean, you're good at them.
I am good at them. That's true. I nailed that one. Zero question that it was Farkle.
Anyways,
Courtney, what's your number 2?
This was hard. This is really hard.
This is hard. I'm
going with Lord of the Rings as my number 2.
Okay.
I really like everything Lord of the Rings. It kind of makes me sad that I didn't play this game, but I would try it for the fantasy adventure.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talking. So there's a lot of text.
I mean, and we know how much you love talking.
Maybe this is why it's hanging out at number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got Lord of the Rings at number 2 for Courtney.
Yes.
John, what's yours?
My number 2 is also Lord of the Rings.
Right.
High five.
Fellowship of the Ring. And the reason why I'm not fully putting a ring on it, or the one ring on it,
he's been waiting the whole episode.
I just got there with it. I am also retiring from the podcast. No, I'm trying to pack in all of my jokes to this one episode.
When do they start?
No, I think it.
So harsh.
No, he's right. He's right. Spot on. I think the game parts don't look all that interesting, but I feel like it's a neat way to experience that first book without
having to read
it. It's voice acted.
Is it fully voice acted?
Like all those cutscenes were voice acted that I saw, at least on PC, I think.
Okay.
No, I watched the Xbox version. They were voice acted on Xbox.
There you go.
Okay. So, yeah, it's cool that they were pushing for this different version of Lord of the Rings at the same time that the movies were happening. This weird alternate history version of the video games. So, it's more of a curiosity for me.
Okay.
Than an urge to actually want to play it. But that would be my number 2.
Gotcha. And I'm going to actually steal the last little bit of what you said there. Mine is also more of a curiosity than an urge to play it. But my number 2 is World Series Major League Baseball. Being a big baseball fan, I love the sport. I love the games based on the sport, especially the simulation games. It's so cool to see kind of where it all got its beginning. I never would have known without this game popping up. I never would have known kind of the first steps of simulation baseball in video games. So, again, the game looks impossible. It might be a real short look, but I would love to give it a shot. It'd also be my first time playing it in Intellivision, so double bonus.
I was gonna guess that one at number 1 for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a big baseball guy.
I was assuming that was gonna be a number 1 for the C-dub.
That's right. I'm always shaking and baking over here.
Always surprising us.
You never know what you're gonna get. All right. Well, Courtney, lay your number 1 down on us. What do you got?
This is not going to be a surprise.
I am already not surprised.
My number 1 is absolutely The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm playing that game.
You are going to play that game?
I'm going to play that game. I'm going to end up playing it on the PS4 and hating myself for it and wishing that it was on my iPad.
Okay. And
but
we've
I'm going to do it.
This never had a mobile release, right? I didn't see anything.
I
saw nothing.
The only mobile releases are on Switch and on Vita.
Gotcha.
So no actual iOS or Android. Maybe check, but not that I know of.
You know, Courtney,
who do I need to talk to make that happen?
Mr. Ichi.
Just throwing this out there now. The new Switch OLED is out, which means there's probably some used Switches out there as well. So now might be a good time to get in on a Switch for relatively inexpensive if you're okay with owning a pre-owned console.
I can own a pre-owned console.
So
just don't give me
exactly. It's the same.
I just don't want the Switch that's like blue and red.
Okay. That's
you
probably
can always buy controllers to change that.
Yeah, you can buy different Joy-Cons.
If you want purple and yellow Wario controllers, you can do that. If you want,
I seen it.
If you want Splatoon colored controllers of like bright pink and highlighter yellow, you can do that.
I want the gray.
There's Zelda
I want
colors.
the gray one. I just want the gray one.
I want the white ones, but I didn't get that OLED one.
Why did I think you got that? You didn't.
No, I mean I got the red and blue one. Yeah.
Okay. You just didn't get the white one. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
That's it. But I don't know why I would want a white one after the PS5 controllers. Like they just get dirty.
It's a bad idea.
Mine has not gotten dirty.
Maybe I just have gross hands.
I don't. I was anticipating it. I
wash my hands all the time. We're in a pandemic.
I have my PlayStation 5 controller right here, and it's like spotless.
One of you is clean, and one of you is dirty.
There's a spot. I found one. But yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, I guess mine's not too bad. There's a little bit of discoloration, but
yeah. So, John, what's your number 1? Also, Courtney, get a Switch.
My number 1.
Thanks.
My number 1 is also The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince.
Yeah.
I really like Nippon Ichi as a development house and as a publisher, and I find it very interesting that they made a puzzle platformer. It looks simple, but I really like the art style and how children's bookish it looks. the art's just super inviting to me somehow. Like very, very cute, very whimsical. I'm just into that. Also, the story's just simple and adorable. Like, this wolf just wants to help this kid that she blinded. So she's gonna go to like all the lengths possible to make sure that he's healed. And it's just very sweet. It seems like it would just be a few hour adventure, and that'd be great for a weekend. I'm starting to appreciate like games that are 12 hours or less more and more now. Now that I have played a few of those in the last like week, I'm like, oh, I'm just jamming through games. This is great. And I feel like this would be another one to just like cruise through and have a good time with. So
see, it'd be like a great $3, like $2.99 game on iOS.
It would. $9.99 is like a good spot for it too, though, I think. Which is where it's at right now.
On sale. On sale
now.
Will it be on sale by the time this goes up? That would be that would be rough if we sale ends today. Sorry.
Oops.
Whoops.
Well, while we're figuring out when Chris, that sale ends,
what's your number one?
The
sale ends on November 4th. So
you got all kinds of time.
I got time.
You got a week.
Yeah, you could buy one for the next 6 days.
That's at least the PlayStation version. So.
And to be honest, the fact that it's even on sale on Switch is kind of a big deal because
there's so many things that are.
I guess there are a lot of Switch sales. It's never first-party stuff.
It's never Nintendo stuff. Like if it is, it's like 10%, 20%, and it's usually like an E3 sale or something.
Yeah. Well, my number one game is also The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was not expecting that.
No? You thought Lord of the Rings, huh?
I thought maybe Lord of the Rings.
Okay. I didn't do myself any favors by I didn't build up The Liar Princess as something that I'm really going to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does and what I think it could do for me is it could trigger that inner sad boy, right?
No.
Yeah, no, I really think that there's going to be some emotional heartstrings getting tugged in that game, and I'm okay with that. Like, I like the sentimental.
It's good.
I like the things that kind of I like cheery, happy things, but I also, I've always been kind of a fan of things that are a little bit more, not desperate, macabre, maybe, just things that don't always have the happiest endings.
Right.
I've enjoyed that, and I hope I hope it's because they're very adorable.
But also there's
adorable cartoon characters. But
there's happiness and tragedy sometimes, and I think that's where this kind of lines up.
Yeah, and if this is presented in a way that handles that well, and gives a satisfying conclusion, whether it ends happy or sad, I'm okay with that. Now, I don't think I'm going to be a big fan of. I get why the art exists the way it does.
Yeah.
I think in this case the art would cater to the mood. I think that it would add to like the kind of the solemn nature of the game. The puzzles are probably not going to do much for me. Not going to dig that part very much. But I still think there's enough there that of the 3 games presented that I could reasonably play and reasonably get into. I think that's why Liar Princess and the Blind Prince is my number one.
Cool.
I like it.
So, yeah, I've also said in the past that the PlayStation 2 and Xbox generation are one of the most difficult for me to get back into.
Yeah.
And I think The Lord of the Rings, that game perfectly exemplifies why that is. Nothing about that game looks interesting to me.
Yeah. So, it's a step behind the greats.
Yeah.
of that era.
And even the greats of that era. No, thank you. So there we go. There are the rankings.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'll give baseball its quick thing. I think it's really interesting. I feel like it's a neat time capsule of what baseball games looked like in the early 80s. And like you were saying, seeing that thread between then and now, between World Series baseball for the Intellivision and the show, I think that's a cool line to see there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I really want to play it too much. Maybe get my hands on it a little bit just to see how it plays. But everything else is more of a curiosity there. So
yeah,
I would play it just for the nostalgia of the Intellivision.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a baseball game.
Do you have a go-to Intellivision game that you think of? You're like, I want to play that Donkey Kong.
Yeah, when I think of playing on the Intellivision, it was a lot of a game called Snafu. It was a lot of Burger Time, and it was Donkey Kong.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think there's a story in my family of my dad buying my mom an Intellivision, and then he would just play Donkey Kong and Pac-Man.
All right. Well,
right.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed the show, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to us. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/procedurally generated. You can find us on Twitter at PG_show. You can send us an email. I almost put two words together and said a swear.
Shenda.
But I didn't. But I think I said a swear earlier today. Good luck finding it.
You did. I think I did too. Is this a non-swearing podcast? What did I sign up for?
You know what? Let's talk about that because I think I'm ready to just go. Who wants to hear some cuss words?
I mean, stuff kind of just comes out of my mouth sometimes.
I'm just waiting for a response from our listeners right now.
Yeah. All right.
Who wants it?
If you guys want to hear cuss words, email us at pgshowinbox@gmail.com. Maybe you can chime in on the Discord, which will be linked below in the show notes. You could leave a message on one of our episodes' TikToks if you'd like. I check all those. And then you can also let us know in our chats on Twitch. You can find me at CW719. John, we can find you at...
This is... was this Twitch or Twitter?
This is Twitch.
Oh, Twitch. John Carson Games.
There you go. And
wasn't paying attention.
Mecha Sprite.
You caught me.
Now, I guess you I'm glad you said that because you can also follow us individually on Twitter. I, once again, am CW719 on Twitter. John is?
I'm sorry, what's this Twitch or Twitter?
Oh, my God.
On Twitter, you can find me at John_Carson.
It's Twitch again.
No!
And Courtney?
Still Mecha Sprite.
There you go.
That's what we got.
Follow us, have a good time. See Chris tweet about his stream. See me tweet about wrestling stuff.
True.
Courtney, what are you tweeting about these days?
I don't do a lot of tweeting.
That's not true. You do all of the tweeting.
It's probably actually the smartest thing to do.
I don't do a lot of personal tweeting.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. All right. Let's shank. Let's
shank it.
Let's thank our patrons. I don't even know how the ch sound got in there. Anyways, let's go this way. Here we go. Let's thank Mecha Sprite.
That's me.
You may have heard of it. Our platinum patron. We've got Coda and Xchin, our gold patrons. Cassidy, Catherine, and Tim, our silver patrons. And Ozzy, Brandon, Jason, John, and John, our bronze patrons.
Woo.
John and John.
Thank you guys
Thanks,
so much for the support. If you guys would like to join that crew, we would greatly appreciate it. We want to keep growing this thing. We want to keep doing new, fun, exciting things. We hinted at the idea of one day we'd like to do a Twitch channel for PG show, but we gotta get to that mark.
And apparently we have needed microphone upgrades. So
yes, we
probably
do.
Where some of this is going into. So.
We sure do. So, yes, consider becoming a patron for as little as $3 a month. You can get some ad-free listening, and early access is the other perk. I think at $3. That sound right?
Yeah, it's early-ish.
It is early-ish. We'll try to get it.
We'll try to get it earlier. Yeah.
Early-isher.
I mean, the big thing is you get your name on that list of awesomeness.
You do.
True. That is true.
We get to thank you every week.
100%. And then my final ask, as is the thing I leave off the show every time with, leave us a positive review on whatever you're listening to this on. If it's 5 stars, if it's 1 thumbs up, if it's a heart, if it is, I don't know what else there is. Engage with that. Leave something positive. If you do follow us on any of the social medias and stuff like that, interact, engage. That's how we beat algorithms. That's how we get in front of new viewers, new people. So we would greatly appreciate that. Other than that, I don't think I have too much else. What do you guys think? Should we call it? Should we call it an episode?
Let's call it.
Start working for our episode 30 next week. 30.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah, that's a big number.
Oh, that is a big number.
30 years. It's been a long road.
That's right. Show enough.
Doing this a long time.
We're actually coming up on that whole 1-year anniversary thing.
Yeah, that's
5 months of it was a hiatus.
Next week?
It's maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
2 weeks?
I don't know. Should we?
So next week could be 1-year anniversary and 30th episode, like all at the same time.
And then people are going to try to do that math and be like, "Wait," and be like, "Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it."
Yeah. The numbers don't matter.
Yeah.
No. Trust me, you'll never figure it out. Yeah. So we're going to do that. So you guys, thank you for joining me on the show. You guys that were listening, have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.